Hello and welcome to a new episode. Today we are listening in on a recording I did while driving after teaching a class called 6 Personal Perspectives. I hope you enjoy it.
The 6 personal perspectives are 6 perspectives that high achievers choose to embody in their life. These are not just ways of thinking, they are ways of being. The 6 personal perspectives are in answer to the question, what is it that makes high achievers so much more successful than those who don't achieve very much? What is it that separates the ones who achieve their goals versus the ones who just talk about their goals, or maybe even don't talk about their goals? So when I look at the 6 perspectives, the first thing I want to mention is that the 6 perspectives are personal because they're yours. No one else can do this work for you. It's not something that you sign up for. It's not something that you check off of a list. It's not something that you automatically do because you're a part of a certain team. It's something you have to practice for you, and you have to practice it every single day. The 6 perspectives are where they live at the intersection of where mindset, attitudes, and approach to life come together. So you can just visualize attitude, mindset, and approach to life, and all 3 of those circles kind of coming together in a Venn diagram of sorts. Then the 6 perspectives live at the intersection of all 3 of those. The first perspective I want to dig into is commitment to self-mastery. The commitment to self-mastery is where you become aware of your strengths, you become aware of your weaknesses, you are clear on what you want, you are clear on how your strengths and your weaknesses are going to work together, and how you're going to utilize your strengths and your weaknesses in order to accomplish your goal. The commitment to self-mastery is a commitment to owning your own decisions, being someone who is powerful in decision-making and in choices, being able to say yes to things powerfully, being able to say no to things strategically in order to bolster up your inner strength, right? Your inner focus. A lot of what we talk about in this course is focus, and it is a art, it is a science, it is both of those things, right? Because it's an art because in life you want to be able to experience as much as you can, but at the same time it's a science because you need to be able to put kind of boundaries and blockades up from time to time in order to focus on creating certain results. So the commitment to self-mastery is really about self-awareness, and it's about choosing to be the best you that you possibly can be. It's about showing back up for the work of being your best self. Now, self-mastery is different than mastery. Mastery is being the master of a subject, whereas self-mastery is being the master of you. Many times you hear things like, I'm just getting in my own way. Or maybe you've even said things like, hey, I'm just getting in my own way. I know what to do. I'm just getting in my own way. It's just me. I'm not doing it. Well, then there needs to be a re-examination at, are you committed to self-mastery? Is what you say you want actually what you want? And are you willing to start making decisions that cut off other options and say, no, this is what I'm going to work on. This is what I'm going to achieve. This is the path I'm going to take. The second perspective builds on the first, and each one of the 6 build on the previous one and on the previous ones. The second perspective is what we call committing to the 80-20 principle. The 80-20 principle says that 20% of what you do is going to get you 80% of your results. And in business, it is important that we take the time to understand not all things are equal, and not everything is going to get me equal results. If I have a big goal of 3 transactions a month, 4 transactions a month, then there's going to be some things that are more likely to get me to that consistent 4 transactions a month than other things, right? Not everything is going to weigh in or influence those 4 transactions a month as much as other things. So this is about identifying your big rocks. The big rocks are the things that are of utmost importance, that if they don't get done, everything can fall apart, right? That if they don't get done, you're going to live with regret. That if the big rocks, which is your 20%, if those things don't get put into your schedule first, then they won't fit into your schedule because the rest of life will have kind of come in and taken up and squeezed all of your time. So the big rocks, 20% rule, committing to the 80-20, it's a lot of focus on identifying your 20%. What are the most important things? You can answer that by asking the question, out of everything I'm putting on my to-do list here, what are the things that are going to make the most impact? Just be honest with yourself, because you might have a list of 15 things to do, but you might see 5 things that are going to make the most impact, right, on the end result that you're looking to create. And then even out of those 5 things that you identify that are what I would call a success list, or Gary Keller would call a success list, you go from a to-do list to a success list. Even out of that success list now, there's one thing. If you ask yourself, what is the one thing on this success list that if I were to do that, everything else would be easier or unnecessary? That is your one thing. That is, at least for that particular category of life, let's say business, that one thing that you identify is your 20%, and it's the most important thing you could possibly do to make everything else easier or unnecessary. And frankly, you can spend a disproportionate amount of time on that one thing because of how much difference it is going to make for everything else. So for me, an example of what a one thing has been, a 20% has been, is, to spend or invest 3 hours a day in lead generation. This morning when I was recounting my story to a live classroom teaching this 6 personal perspectives class, I shared the story of how, for about 8 solid months in my business, I had an amazing script practice partner, and we practiced every morning from 7 a.m. to 7:30 p.m. Monday through Thursday. And I had a routine. I would walk my dog. We would script practice. I would take my dog back inside. I would get in the car. I would drive to the office. And even in the car, I would be making phone calls to expired listings and then to for sale by owner listings. And then by the time I got to the office, I would walk directly to my office and be calling the follow-ups from the previous day or from the open house. And I had my routine. And then I would call my database and I would reach out to them. And then I would do other types of follow-ups of people I had talked to maybe last week or 2 months ago. And so having that routine from 7 to about 11:30 every day, focused on generating business, reaching out to potential clients, reaching out to my database, offering service, offering help, connecting with people, that was about 4.5 hours of my day. Well, in most businesses, 4.5 hours is more than half of a day. And I was choosing to spend it on my one thing. And that was connecting with people one-on-one, asking how I could serve them, how I could help them, and seeing if it made sense for me to set an appointment with them or with someone they knew. And that year that I spent 4.5 hours a day on this one thing, I took 111 listings and the team sold about 125 units that year. Now, that didn't just happen overnight. That was a gradual year by year progress, right? And process of growing that strength, growing that habit, building up my skill set, being more consistent. And I chalk it all up to this commitment to the 80-20 principle, which is really a ruthless approach of saying no to a lot of things that don't matter. So if you want to go look at a video about these big rocks and kind of visualize it a little bit easier and better, I encourage you to go check out Franklin Covey's. There's a YouTube video. Just type in Franklin Covey Big Rocks, and I think you'll stumble upon that video. All right, number 3 in the commitment to in a commitment to being the best you can be, in a commitment to achieving the best results that you possibly can. You've got the commitment to self-mastery, and then the commitment to the 80-20, and that third commitment is committing to moving from E to P. And in our lingo, E to P stands for entrepreneurial to purposeful. It's moving from doing things naturally to doing things unnaturally. It's moving from the comfort zone to the uncomfort. Is that the word I'm looking for? The discomfort, right? It's moving from you just kind of default to intentional. And so one way of looking at this too is that it might be moving from easy to painful. There may be some things that feel a little uncomfortable until you're used to being uncomfortable, that make it challenging or difficult for you to be able to take the step, right, from moving in your natural state to an unnatural state. So that's just part of the joy, though. It's part of the gig of being a high achiever. It's part of stretching for more and reaching for more, is saying, hey, I'm not just going to do it how I've always done it. I'm going to get purposeful and intentional about how I do that. There's a few things that go into moving into being purposeful. The first one is focus. Making sure that you're not wasting time doing and spending time on things that are not going to lead you where you want to go. Number two is to find strategic options, right? Out of all the things you could do, you've decided this is the one thing you need to do and want to do to get the results. But what are the strategic options? How are you going to do that? What is that going to look like? What are the ways that other people are doing it? That's number three, is find models to follow. They could be models, like written out models. They could be role models, people who are doing it. But don't think that everything you want to do has never been done before, because it probably has. And just looking for who has done it before, what can you take from them and implement from them, can go a long ways. And that's how you get purposeful. So you get purposeful through focus. You get purposeful through looking at strategic options. You get purposeful by following some models, right, that maybe someone else has put in place before you, or some other organization has put in before you. And then you also get purposeful by adding in what we call accountability. So that's involving someone else. It's letting someone else know what you're up to, and then you choosing to be accountable to that person or that space, so that you can get the results that you actually deserve and that you said you wanted, that you do want. So that's number three, moving from E to P. And then number four out of the 6 personal perspectives is taking the time to be learning based, so that you can create an action plan. So in the full lingo, it's make being learning based the foundation of your action plan. And by being learning based, you choose to expose yourself to things that maybe you haven't exposed yourself to before. Maybe you choose to become aware of opportunities, right? When it comes to learning, there are 4 stages to learning. One is awareness, then the second is training, the third is practice, and then the fourth is mastery or habit. All right? So whatever it is that you're looking to accomplish, you may be living in a little bit of conscious incompetence. Like, I want to do a certain thing in my business, but I don't know how. That's conscious incompetence. For some of you who might be listening to this, you may be sitting in a place where you're living in unconscious incompetence, which means you don't even know what you don't know, but you know you're looking for something. And so I encourage you to keep looking and keep making yourself aware, keep exposing yourself, because at some point that awareness is going to spark and you are going to know exactly what it is you need to get trained on. Now, a great coach or mentor or exposing yourself to community and high achievers can help with that. They can help you stay aware of what's possible, and that way you can just jump straight into training, straight into the moving from training into practice, and then from practice into mastery or habit. The 5th personal perspective of high achievers is not only do they commit to self-mastery, the 80-20 principle, moving from E to P, being learning based the foundation of their action plan, but they choose to remove their limiting beliefs. They choose to say, I'm not going to let the stinking thinking, so to speak, in my head get in the way. I'm going to do something different. I'm going to take the thoughts that I have and I'm going to rewrite them. I'm going to rewire my brain with the positive affirmations, the positive beliefs that I know will support me. Because it is our thinking through and through, our limiting beliefs, that keep us from success. And the mantra I want you to take on is that you unlimit your success. You change your thinking to change your world. And by changing your thinking, you're going to change your self-talk. You're going to change how you speak to others. You're going to change how you kind of explain what it is you're up to, right? So instead of kind of saying, oh, I'm just kind of sort of maybe doing this, it's I am doing this. I'm working my way toward building this kind of a brand, or I'm working my way toward building this kind of a business. To remove your limiting beliefs, you have to recognize that you have limiting beliefs. And that can be uncomfortable because most of us don't want to admit that we have beliefs that are holding us back. And yet, are all of us achieving the highest level of success we want? I know the answer to that is no, or you wouldn't be listening to this. There's something more there. And I believe that there is some belief for all of us that we can work on, that we can begin to acknowledge, hey, I have this belief. It's holding me back, and I'm going to every day work on that. Tony Robbins is someone who's influenced me throughout the years, and he has a mantra that says, every day, in every way, I'm getting better, yes and yes. And I love that. It kind of still gives me chills, and I still believe it. So anytime I start to have any kind of limiting belief that's keeping me back from what I know is possible, hey, every day in every way, every day in every way, I'm getting better and better, yes. All right. And then finally, the sixth personal perspective is to be accountable. So we've done all of this work internally, and we've done the limiting belief removal, and we've blocked our calendar and focused on our one thing, and we're looking at our big rocks, and we're committed, right? This last one just kind of puts the bow on all of it. It is be accountable. It is take the time to invite accountability into your life. Take the time to be vulnerable. Take the time to find someone who believes in you and who can ask you the hard questions. There's a model that you can follow. Maybe reach out to me, DM me, or email me. You can email hello@b-sideconsulting.com if you'd like. And that's an easy way to get in touch with me. But I'd love to send you the model that I got from Gary Keller about what an accountability session should look like. They should not be hours long. They're quick 15, 20-minute meetings. You ask a certain series of questions, you get the answers from the other person, and you're asking the questions for them, right? It's not really for you to know whether or not they did the thing. It's an accountability partner session where that person just cares about you, and you guys are holding each other accountable to your own set of goals, your own set of actions that you've put in place. So be accountable. High achievers are accountable. They don't sit around and blame or project or live in denial. They say, no, this is reality. This is what's happening. I'm going to choose to to focus my energy. Here's the actions I'm going to take. And then they get on with taking those actions so that they can move on to another day. And, by living out that way, in my experience, when a leader or anyone really lives this accountable lifestyle, it is amazing to see how the people around them begin to have a positive ripple effect from that. That even just one person choosing to be accountable inspires, motivates, and allows the space, creates the space for others to be accountable as well. And that's why high achievers hang out with high achievers. So, with all of that being said, I want to thank you for listening to this very brief audio version of the Six Personal Perspectives with Gary Keller. All of this material I have received from KW University, an incredible part of our KW ecosystem and KW world. And I want to thank all of the, curriculum writers and Gary Keller himself and so many people who have contributed to these truths. These are truths across all industries, across all types of jobs and work. But when you're in business for yourself, it is vital that you take the time to analyze and assess how you are looking at the world. And these six perspectives are easy, tangible, within reach ones that you can hang on to, hold on to, practice. And hopefully this video or audio is something you can listen to over and over if you need reminders about any or all of the six. All right, cheers to success, a successful day, a successful week, month, year, and life. And remember that success is how you define it.